on our agenda, we're almost caught back up again. Contract, code enforcement contract that was issued earlier this spring. So the background for this is two items to go on here. First of all is to make sure that everyone is aware of the contract. It was approved last October. The contract itself was signed at the city at the time and signed by the vendor in April. He has provided some items to me to start the process. Under the contract, which is pretty straightforward, this vendor is to review the current ordinances that affect proper maintenance of properties and then make recommendations for changes or adoptions, as well as items that are property maintenance issues. This vendor relies heavily on the International Property Maintenance Code, which we have not adopted within the city. We have a pretty good set of ordinances, but the IPMC is out there. And I do recommend in the future, as we get more into this, we'll look much deeper into that at potential adoption. So what the vendor does is provide packets to myself and Gary as the two folks initially take a look at it within our ordinances. So right now, I'm working with him to look at the format that he sends stuff and how does it look like, and make sure that it is covering down on our ordinances and that it is something that is actionable for the council. And I've throttled back just a little bit. He did do quite a few, but I think right now we need to start a little more targeted, and kind of ease into this, because this should not be a sole venue. We still need to do this within the town. This is an addition to what we do already. So that's the review. The individual again was here in April and provided packets for that. And if the council chooses, the council can review those. The public cannot, because they are part of the contract with the individual, so they are not public at this point in time until any action is taken by the council to issue a citation or a warning.
So, I'm ignorant, but, so we do our own enforcement through Doug and company for certain ordinance violations, is that correct?
He does them for all, and where this came into play, and I think I would prefer that one of the other councilmen that were here at the time.
So, yeah, what's the difference between what Doug and company are doing versus this?
Doug doesn't do this.
Pardon me?
Doug doesn't do this per se, right? This is
What's this then?
the code enforcement, right? That the whole purpose of this was this guy was going to come in and he was going to, it was going to be cheaper than using the city attorney. It's going to be cheaper for the citizen versus using the city attorney for actual items, but really more than anything else to kind of, as I understood it, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, it was going to be more of a, hey, here's what I see, this is what the violations of code are, this is where we're at, and and these are recommended actions, and then we would approve, disapprove, whatever, right? We would know where to begin, right?
So this guy would be doing the surveillance and checking around town?
Yes, he was hired as.
And so who was, did we have something that was?
He would handle the parts of it where versus us using the city attorney, which was gonna cost us more money.
Right.
This was gonna be cheaper.
Was the city attorney doing this kind of a function then?
No, which is why we kind of went him, because it wasn't.
We didn't have anybody doing this,
Exactly.
is what you're telling me.
Basically, yes.
Okay, I can understand that.
Gary, you want
right?
to expand upon what I'm saying there, because I mean,
Yeah.
So the
We're
issue.
buying a function that we haven't really had in place before with this guy, is that
Yes.
right?
I guess my question is, what is this up for? What are we discussing this for right now? Because this isn't up yet.
No, so what we're discussing right now, this is to make sure everybody's familiar with it. Item number 5 on that contract, I am recommending to the council, and this was based upon the city's attorney recommendation to me since the council approved it. Item number 5, under term of agreement, it says this agreement shall be for a period of 1 year from the date of execution of the agreement and shall automatically renew annually unless written notice is provided by either party. I am recommending to the city that we provide that notice right now, because I do not want to fall into any kind of an automatic renewal problem. Doesn't mean that we won't continue with it, there are other vendors out there, but I don't want something to slip through the cracks, and then we end up sending this guy another $1,500 check, sight unseen, without us being able to review that work.
Is this up for discussion now?
Yes.
I have an issue with this, from my side of the house, because this was approved in October, it is now June. I haven't seen one report, I haven't heard one thing, and I feel like we flushed $1,500 down the toilet of the city's money, and I am against continuing it.
What
What's that?
does the retainer buy us?
So let's talk about.
I haven't heard a word about any.
Sure thing, so we'll talk about two things, so I'm gonna get to yours first. The reason why the city signed the contract in October, but this contract did not become effective until April 13th this year, is because that's when he signed it. So there was a 6-month gap that we're not responsible for any payment, and so the contract technically started in April.
Okay.
So
what are we buying with the retainer then?
So with the retainer, you get $1,500 sum to the company annually. And then the hourly work rate performed by CES is not to exceed $75 an hour, which is in addition to mileage and reimbursement.
What triggers him to come and do something though?
One of two things can happen. We can call him to physically come here and do an assessment around town, which he will do. Or periodically, he will inform us that, hey, I'm gonna be in the area. He informed me yesterday that he'll be in another community in the area in a couple of weeks. Do you want me to come down and look at it?
So the retainer puts him on the hook to do whatever we want to have him do.
Up to $1,500.
Up to $1,500.
Out of his hourly rate.
And if we go more than that,
Then we're paying the hourly rate of up to not to exceed $75 an hour.
I wouldn't think 1,500 is gonna buy us too much.
I don't think so either. And so,
I'm just trying to understand what we're getting into.
yeah. So I think every intent was wise, and having visited with some folks and some other government agencies around town, there are a number of these folks that are out there that do this. Every intent was very good at this, and I believe this is something that we will do in the city in the future. And I'm willing to work with this guy to get to where we need to be. This is a very generic contract. For one, I am not a fan of signing somebody else's contract as a city.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we wanna add for solicitation, then there are other people that would bid.
I'm just trying to understand what he's doing. He's gonna drive around town, he's gonna get familiar with our ordinances, and drive around town and see if certain people are not in compliance, and then let us know.
Then he preps a packet, which he sends to us.
Okay.
And Gary and I can review. And then, provided, he's got all the information in it, then it goes to the council for action.
I wouldn't think 1,500 is gonna be enough to drive around town to do all that.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the first.
What we need to know is
invoice.
to find out what we're in for if we do that.
Yeah.
If we do pull the trigger and have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's already on, we're
He's on
already on the
payroll,
contract.
right?
So we're already on the contract, yep. So, to do that. And,
Yeah, I'm
Too open-ended
I'm
for
no
me.
longer in favor of it at this time. I think more research needs to be had to see if it's even necessary, moving forward. And,
It's already been signed and
what's
paid.
that?
It's already been signed and paid.
I know that, but if we're, for this period, it has been.
To me, it's too
But
open-ended.
if what's up for discussion is, are we going to renew this? I would say we can, it's already been signed and paid for this period, that's great. But if we're having to vote now whether to renew it or not, I'm gonna make a motion that we don't renew it and that we do more research and see who else is out there and see if this is necessary for us to continue beyond the period that we've already paid for.
and from my viewpoint as the mayor, as a chief ordinance enforcer, when I saw this in the contract, I absolutely am not. Doesn't mean we won't do it, but I don't want to auto renew, and it goes to the cracks.
I'll make the motion that we do not auto renew.
Vance makes a motion to inform CES, Code Enforcement Specialists, that at this point in time, we will not, we'll send a letter for non-auto renewal, but not cancellation.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Steve seconds it. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, the motion carries. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the motion.
The motion carries unanimously. The city of Springfield will send a notice to CES that We do not intend to auto renewal, and that will be the written notice as part 5 of the agreement, but we are not terminating the agreement at this time. We will
I'd like
continue.
to see us do diligence to find out what follow-on work would be necessary beyond the retainer.
Okay.
Because if we knew that, then we would know how much we would need to spend to complete